Always sick. It's like I remember. It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. How'd you get down there?
I'd like to call to order the Reidsville City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. The clock in the rear was just a little bit fast, so I was going by Green Bay Packer time. First item on the agenda will be invocation by Elder Roger L. Weidman, a pastor at the United House of Prayer for All People, 310 Lindsay Street, Reidsville.
Give honor to the mayor and the city council. At this time, let us pray. Oh, wise, eternal God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to serve. We invite you into our hearts and our minds and our souls. We asking you, Lord, that everything that is on the agenda will be clear and accepted. And we pray that it will be a clear, a vivid indication of your love, your peace, and your unity. We thank you for those who have been called to serve at such a time as this. We're asking you to bless them with strength and durability to serve and protect the people of Reidsville and neighboring counties. We're asking you to continue to strengthen this city, continue to strengthen this body to execute your will for the benefit of the people. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we all stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the adoption of the agenda. Everyone has had an opportunity to go through their packets and look at the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight? We have a motion. We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. The next item is the approval of the consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. Is there anyone who'd like to have one of those 4 items or more pulled? If not, do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 6, public hearings. Consideration of incentive agreement with Taylor Lay Global Incorporated, also known as Project Independence, in the amount of $334,000. Enclosure 1, Montana Brown Marketing and Economic Development Director.
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of City Council, Madam Manager. Pleasure to speak with you all tonight. I hope you're doing well this week. Taylor Lay Global Incorporated, also known as Project Independence, represents a manufacturer of latex mattresses, mattress components, mattress toppers, and pillows. The company intends to extend their operations to 2361 Holiday Road by leasing approximately 125,000 square feet within the Global Textile Alliance facility. The company plans to bring $27 million of capital investment and create 52 jobs with an average annual wage of $50,278 by the end of the year 2028. It was recently announced on June 18th that the project received a $500,000 building reuse grant from the North Carolina Department of Commerce and the Rural Infrastructure Authority to support the project. Additionally, Rockingham County voted on June 15th to authorize incentives up to $294,000. The company is now asking that the city of Reidsville consider the authorization of incentives in the amount of $334,000 to support Project Independence. The incentives from both the city and the county would represent 50% of total net new ad valorem property taxes that the company would pay over a course of 5 years. All incentive payments will be made post-performance and in accordance with the incentive agreement within your agenda packet. If council desires to move forward, a motion will need to be made to authorize the approval of incentives in the amount of $334,000 to be paid over the course of 5 years, as well as a motion to accept, you can do it in the same motion, to accept the incentive contract as presented within your agenda packet.
Any questions of Mr. Brown?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When this first came to our attention, we were told 200,000, and now it's jumped to 334,000. That's a pretty big jump.
So the item that was presented to you was in closed session was $334,000 by the city and $294,000 by the county. So that is a representative, again, of that 50% of that new net ad valorem tax that they pay over the course of the next 5 years. So that's how that number is calculated.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown.
Is there a prepared motion? Let's see it.
This is public hearing.
Oh, that's right.
Public hearing. I'm going to use the clock in the back. If if it's okay for the public hearing, because it's easy to read. Public hearing will start at 6:09. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for? Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to speak against? We'll close the public hearing at 6:10. No, sir, that's not a formal vote or motion. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we proceed on as recommended by Montana Brown here in the amount of $334,000.
We have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Have anyone who'd like to speak before council on tonight? All right, seeing no one, we'll go to new business. We have a presentation of Rockingham County Comprehensive Transportation Plan, CTP, and adoption by the city of Reidsville, enclosure 2. Ms. Emily Stupka and Devin Jones, NC Department of Transportation.
Hello.
Hello.
Mayor, Council, City Manager, good afternoon. I want to thank you guys for having us today. My name is Emily Stupka. I'm a transportation engineer with the NCDOT. I work in our Transportation Planning Division. I'm joined by a few people today. Devin Jones, who is an HBCU fellow who's been working with us, and he's going to help me present today. We also have Don Ballier, who is your Piedmont Triad RPO coordinator. We also have Toya Smith, who is your Division 7 Corridor Development Engineer. And then in the back there, we have my manager, Andy Bailey, who is in charge of the Western Piedmont Planning Group. And then we also brought Sage Weatherwax, who is a new engineer who's going to be working with us. So thank you guys for having us. We're going to be talking today about the Rockingham County Comprehensive Transportation Plan, or CTP. So I'm going to be talking about what is a CTP, why do we do them, why are they important. We're going to discuss the process of the CTP and the timeline of this specific one. Then I'm going to be getting into the recommendations we have for Reidsville specifically. And then we are going to have time for questions, and then we're going to ask you guys to consider adopting this plan. So I'm going to pass it over to Devin, who's going to start us off.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'll be going over what is a comprehensive transportation plan. So a CTP is a long-range needs-based plan, and it's kind of based on the community consensus, and it's gathered information with local stakeholders, the RPO, NCDOT, and it covers multimodal transportation needs such as highways, bike, pedestrian, public transit, rail, airports, and including ferries. It's important that we identify these needs and future transportation needs so they can be submitted for future funding within the Rockingham community. It aligns with our complete streets policy, which means we can better serve bike and pedestrian efforts within the community here. And lastly, it informs the public about prioritization, project development, and design. And if you guys do not like any projects that are being proposed within the comprehensive plan, some plans can be omitted just based off your needs. If you have like a development coming into Rockingham or Reidsville more specifically, some things can be taken out of the comprehensive plan. It also can help make land use decisions, and lastly, it follows our state land use policy. Shown here on the screen is the NCDOT project delivery process for the comprehensive plans. So right now, we're still in the long-range planning decisions. We're still determining needs within Rockingham County and Reidsville. Next will be prioritization, to where you can take specific projects within the comprehensive plan and take them to your RPO, which will be Dawn, and also Toya as well. Later on down the line, we get into the funding and project designs, so on and so forth. Now, this is the more specific process for the comprehensive plans within Rockingham County. So we started the CTP process back in the winter of 2023. That's where we gathered a lot of the information there and got a good scope of the work and things that will be needed within Rockingham County. We're currently looking to adopt and seeking approval from the board and also local adoption from you guys and also the county, and looking to close out this comprehensive plan in the fall of this year. And we had five different public engagement opportunities for residents within Rockingham County. If you have any questions about that, you can wait till the end, but I'll pass it back over to Emily to go over modernization and also more specific projects within Rockingham.
Yeah, quickly, I'll just mention those public engagement opportunities. We did have 5 public engagement opportunities later on in the process, so we asked the public their feedback about the specific recommendations, and then we also do one early on in the process during step 1, which would be to get feedback about where the concerns are in the county. But when we had our public engagement workshops this spring, we met at the Reidsville YMCA and had a great turnout, and we also went to the Reidsville Library. So thank you guys for hosting us there. So before I get into the specific recommendations I had for Reidsville, I just wanted to talk about some of the terminology you might hear and just maybe clear up some stuff. So the first term is modernization. I might say that a few times. Modernization means we're typically dealing with a substandard roadway design. So usually it's just kind of outdated. It's not how we would build it today if we were to build a road. So this might include things like lane width. So it might be too narrow, making it a little bit unsafe. It might have no shoulders or small shoulders or unpaved shoulders. There might be issues with alignment, so vertical or horizontal, so you can think like sharp turns or maybe like humps in the road that makes it a little bit dangerous. And then we're going to talk a little bit about intersection improvements, and typically this is addressing some type of deficiency. So that could include things like a lot of crashes at the intersection, or it could be that there were severe crashes, so maybe not a lot of them, but maybe there was a fatality or severe injury that we need to look at. It could also deal with things like traffic congestion, so people are stuck at the light for a long time, or storage issues where maybe there's a turn lane, but there's not enough space in that turn lane for all the cars who are trying to turn to fit in there. Or it could also be alignment issues where, again, it's just kind of an outdated design, or maybe it's kind of a wonky intersection that's a little bit confusing and dangerous. And then just as a heads up, these recommendations are already planning level, so at this level we're not designing these recommendations. It's more identifying that there's a need for these recommendations to exist. So specifics and the design would come later if these projects were to get funded. So now for the recommendations we have for Reidsville, I'll start with our highway recommendations. You'll have to bear with me because I'm going to be reading off a list. So the first recommendation I wanted to mention was US 29 Business. And this recommendation would go from West Harrison Street to Scale Street. This recommendation would be to consolidate some of the driveways and improve the signal operations along US 29 Business. And this would help improve the mobility and reliability of this road. The next one we have is US 29, and this would be across the whole county, so all the way from Caswell to Guilford County. It would be to upgrade 29 to interstate standards, and then also improve the interchange at Barnes Street. The next recommendation is US 29 Business again, but this is from Crutchfield Road to US 29. This would be to widen US 29 Business to 12-foot lanes with paved shoulders, and this is one of those modernization projects I mentioned earlier. It's just more bringing it up to standard design. Then we have NC 87. This is from Country Home Road in Wentworth to US 29 Business. So this recommendation would be to widen 87 to a 5-lane facility with a center turn lane, and that would be from 65 to Sandy Cross / Wentworth Street. And then the rest of it would be modernized, so that would go from 65, that would go from Sandy Cross Wentworth Street to US 29 Business. So the portion that's closest to Reidsville and in Reidsville would be a modernization. The other part in Wentworth would be converting it to a 5-lane facility. This is currently funded, so the right-of-way right now, it looks like 2030 for that process, and it has a 2034 year for construction. So that is funded. The next project is NC14. This is from Talawee Road to US 29, and it would be to convert NC14 to a 4-lane facility with a median and then add some turn bays at those major intersections and point of interest. The next recommendation is Way Street Extension. So this would be to construct a new 2-lane road on a new location, and this would be 11-foot lanes, and this would go, this would extend where it stops at Technology Drive to finish Way Street. The next recommendation is South Scale Street, and this is from West Harrison Street to Wellington Drive. And this would be to consolidate driveways and add turn lanes and point of interest along Scale Street to help improve that mobility. Then we have West Harrison Street, and this is from Vance Street to South Scale Street. Again, this is to add some left turn bays at major intersections and point of interest and consolidate driveways where that's possible, and then also improve signal timing where we can. And then the last recommendation I have for roadways would be Vance Street Extension, and this would be to widen Vance Street Extension to 11-foot lanes with paved shoulders. This is one of those modernization projects where it's more to bring it up to standard design and make it a little bit safer and more reliable. And then we have 2 independent intersection improvements. Both of them involve Richardson Drive. So the first one is Richardson Drive, South Main Street, and North Up Street. So we would recommend that this intersection be improved because this is an intersection that has a high amount of crashes and is also not conformed to modern design standards. And then similarly, we're also recommending Richardson Street, Boyd Street, and South Park Street. For similar reasons, it's kind of an outdated intersection design. And you'll see what I just read on the following slide, which has the full table of all of that. So you'll see what the type of recommendation is. You'll see the name of the street. You'll see where the limits are, so from where to where. You'll see the description of the recommendation we're making. And then the identified need column on the far right is the reasoning behind why we're recommending it. And then this facility types map is to show if all of those recommendations were to get built, how it would change your facility type. And facility type is just the way we classify roads at the DOT based on the type of mobility and control it has. So you'll see a lot in yellow, so a lot of those roads would become boulevards because they would now be divided. And then you have that red line, which would be the freeway on US 29 if that was upgraded. So now we have public transit and rail on the next map. So there's 2 recommendations I would like to talk about that affect Reidsville. One would be number 2, which is the thick yellow line on the right-hand side. This is a recommendation to add a fixed route bus service from Reidsville to Greensboro along US 29. During our public engagement, we heard a lot of feedback about wanting some public transit opportunities to Greensboro, especially for medical appointments and work. So that's something we would love to see. The second recommendation are all those green lines you see, specifically the thicker ones. This recommendation is to expand SCAT services across the county. So the recommendation would be to expand it to connect more of the towns, so to connect Madison and Wentworth, Maiden and Eden, and Wentworth and Eden more directly. This is also something we heard a lot about in our public engagement sessions, was that they would like to see more of the towns directly connected so you didn't have to just follow the one loop. And you'll see the list after that map as well. And then we have our bicycle and pedestrian recommendations. This is a little bit of a scary looking map, so let me kind of explain what you're looking at. The purple are your sidewalk recommendations. The yellow would be our bicycle recommendations. The green is where we'd like to see both bike and ped recommendations. And then that brownish color is where we'd like to recommend multi-use paths, or you can think of those as like greenways. So you'll see a lot of those purple recommendations are concentrated in downtown Reidsville, so a lot of just connecting those sideway gaps you see. And then the yellow bike lanes are kind of extending towards the town limits, so we can connect the residents who live across the town to downtown Reidsville. And then the brown, where the multi-use paths are to connect people to the lake so they can enjoy that, and then also connect them to Wentworth if they would like to travel between towns. And you'll see a lot of tables after that map to show all of those recommendations. So that's what we have for Reidsville. I know that was a lot, and our contact information is here, as well as the link in the QR code to the website where you can see a lot more information. So I guess I'll open it up to any questions you guys might have.
Can you please define consolidate driveways? Are you talking about business driveways?
It could be, or it could be residential. So consolidate would be to remove access to some of that to help with the mobility.
I just question that because I know with our citizens and their property, I think that would be very hard to do.
Indy, I don't know if you want to help explain how that would work.
First thing, the idea of consolidation of driveways works practical, and there's a lot of places that are along, for example, Harrison, that it's not practical to do that. And I would say this is on a case-by-case basis. We make sure we go through it. This is at a very high level. That is one of the recommendations you can do. The other recommendation, of course, is to do things like signal timing, adding signals along that road, having turn lanes as well. So there's we are basically giving you a menu of options, and that's one of the menu of options. But again, as these get funded and as these get into project development, the town and the county will have a lot more feedback about exactly what that could be.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I had a question while we're on bicycle pedestrian recommendations. So I was going through it and reviewing this, and I might have missed it. But talking about North Scale Street here, so I had a question. When that was redone, sidewalks put in, the sidewalk stops at the bridge over Freeway Drive, and then there's no sidewalk after the bridge going to Walmart. Is that something that y'all had brought up, or have y'all thought about that? Because when people are walking or riding their bikes to Walmart, once they get past the bridge, they're in the ditch. They're on the side of the road walking through the grass. So I didn't see that on here unless I missed it, but
Yeah,
is that
so to
something
add it
that...
onto the bridge itself?
The what?
Would it be to add it onto the bridge itself?
It would be once you go after the bridge,
Okay.
continue the sidewalk to Walmart, because it's a lot of foot traffic going to it, and I've gotten complaints about it, but it just stops on the south side of the bridge. North side of the bridge over Freeway Drive going to Walmart is you're walking on the side of the road or you're walking in the ditch or grass.
Gotcha.
I didn't see anything in here, but I didn't know if that's something y'all had looked at.
I mean, here's the cool thing. If that's not in it, that's something you can add as a part of the adoption tonight. In fact, I was in Madison last week, and they wanted to connect a sidewalk over to the Dollar General there because of similar things where people were walking on the road or actually wheelchairing on the road. And so that is something we can add as part of this adoption.
That's just a concern to me, because I see a lot of people walking, and once they get past that bridge, they're walking on the fog line, they're in the ditch, in the grass.
Absolutely.
Or they have to get out in the street.
Yeah.
But that would be one I didn't see in here I was concerned about, and I've had that brought to my attention.
I believe we can add that in. If there's any reason we look into it, and the reason we didn't have it in there was because it's infeasible, I can reach out and let you know, but I don't see why not.
You can put that as a part of the motion
Yeah.
with this adoption tonight if you wish.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We're ready for a motion then. Ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan and also include the sidewalk from the other side of the bridge to Walmart, as Councilmember Coates requested.
I'd second. Got it.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Barbara seconded it, yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
right, next item on the agenda, consideration of a recommendation by the RDC Main Street Advisory Board to amend the social district operating schedule to 7 days per week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Enclosure 5, Chase Lemons, Business Development Main Street Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Ms. Manager. I'm here tonight to present a letter of recommendation from the RDC and Main Street Advisory Board. At the June 2026 RDC Main Street Advisory Board meeting, the board discussed the current social district schedule, feedback received from downtown businesses, and comparisons to other North Carolina Main Street communities. Following that discussion, the board voted to move forward with option 3 in their agenda packet, which recommended expanding the Reidsville Social District to operate 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The board supports this expansion due to its potential to aid in food and beverage business recruitment, increase downtown foot traffic, support existing small businesses, and further activate downtown Reidsville during both regular business activity and as special events. As Reidsville continues working to grow its downtown economy, the social district remains an important tool for creating a more vibrant, walkable, and business-friendly environment. The current schedule of Thursday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. has served as a great positive starting point for the district. However, as downtown activity has continued to grow, the board believes that a 7-day schedule would provide greater consistency and flexibility for the businesses, residents, visitors, and event organizers. Expanding the hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. would also create a simple and easily understood schedule for businesses, patrons, and enforcement purposes. The RDC and Main Street Advisory Board recognizes that any formal change of the social district schedule requires the appropriate City Council review and approval process, including approval by Reidsville City Council. Therefore, the board respectfully recommends that the City Council consider amending the social district operating schedule to allow the operation 7 days per week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The board appreciates City Council's continued support of downtown Reidsville and its ongoing investment in initiatives that strengthen small businesses, encourage economic activity, support business recruitment, and create a vibrant downtown environment for residents and visitors.
Any questions of Chase?
I just want to ask Chase, since we're on this topic, and this started last year, we voted on it last year. How's it been? Can you give an update on any issues or how things are going with it?
I can. As far as issues are concerned, they've been minimal. I've talked to businesses. I've talked to our police department here. I can't really think of any issues that's been brought up related to the social district. Enrollment's been a positive. We have 5 now that are registered to serve, and we have 4 that are participating but not serving. So those numbers are continuing to grow. And a couple weeks ago, too, we had a social district interest meeting. It was public. Held it at Lucky City Brewing, had current businesses that are participating in it show up, as well as new businesses that were thinking about joining. We're fortunate to have planning staff there. Some of our inspection staff were there to answer questions. So a lot of this discussion about expanding these hours came from that at first. So, I mean, as far as the first year, it's been positive.
Thank
We're only discussing extending the hours. All the other rules stay exactly the same.
Everything would stay the same. Yeah, they're just looking at extending the hours to that 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. In their original agenda packet for their board meeting, they had 3 options they discussed. Option 1 was keeping everything the same, like it is.
What is the same?
Right now, it's Thursday through Sunday, 11 to 9. Option 2 was expanding the days only, so keeping those times the same, but just going to 7 days a week. And option 3 was adding those extra 2 hours to make it 10 to 10. And a lot of the board discussed with the 10 a.m. brunch and things like that, possibility to recruit restaurants to do those kind of things. So they ended up going with option 3 on that, which according to Main Street, North Carolina, and Main Street Rural Planning, out of all the communities in North Carolina that have social districts, that's their most common. 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Any other questions? In my observation of our social district, I saw no problems. I've observed in Madison and in Greensboro, and there haven't been any problems that I've seen. I think this might be a good thing for us. It's just my opinion. Do we have a motion?
Motion to extend the social district hours 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item, consideration of proposed changes to Lake Reidsville camp policy and fees. Enclosure 4, Hayward Cloud Jr., Assistant City Manager of Community Services.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Madam Manager, I'm before you for item 8C, proposed change to Lake Reidsville campground policy and fees. As you all know, we've had several conversations regarding fees and policy over the last year or so, and I can tell you the public has appreciated all the upgrades and things you all have done at Lake Reidsville. Today's item is about the current tent camping policy. We've had some conversations with some of our avid campers, more importantly, tent campers. And the part of the policy that says that there's no tent camping along the lake view and lakefront properties. Those are the first 2 rows from the lake up. You all know we had extensive conversation about those things. And so staff has evaluated the policy with some of our campers, as I just said, and we were thinking that we believe that there are opportunities to provide greater flexibility to that and still maintain an affordable, enjoyable campground experience. And so staff is presenting 3 options for your consideration, if you would consider those things. And I've seen at least one of our avid tent campers here to talk about that. And the conversation we had was, again, currently there's no tent camping allowed in those first lakefront and lake view. But we came up with the idea of, for those who want to tent camp in those spaces, maybe come up with a tent camping membership fee that they pay. We're just proposing $75. And they pay that yearly, but they still will, if they want to come and tent camp, they still will pay the normal fee for whatever spot that they choose. So it'd be $75 for the membership fee for the year, but still when they want to come, they can still pay whatever the normal cost is for that space, the tent camp. And so as you can see here, we thought that if you all wanted to make any changes, option 1 could be you don't want to make any changes and keep it like it is, or 2, implement that $75 tent camping fee or some type of fee, whatever you all decide to come up with, or change it all together and just move it back like it was, where you can allow tent camping on any lot. So we just thought, after having conversation with some community members, that we told them that we would bring it back to you to see what your pleasure was on this item.
And Mayor and Council, I would just like to thank Ms. Dixon for being here tonight. She has been a great resource. She volunteered her time to come in and sit down with Mr. Cloud and I and kind of go over some options and express her thoughts on it. And I appreciate you being here tonight. So thank you, Ms. Dixon, for bringing this to our attention. And I hope Council will consider some different options, but just wanted to tell you thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you kind of remind us of what the tent camping fees are currently?
Who you gonna ask that? Let's see. I got the current policy right here. Let's see. Thank Actually, this is not the fee schedule. Angela, will you look at the fee schedule? Look online.
It's a whole lot cheaper than the campers.
Oh, yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I have to look at it. I have to find the tent camping policy.
Oh, while you're looking, I had a lady reach out to me a while back. I do know that when we set these rates, tent camping had a reduced rate, and we had a designated area, and then we have a different rate for the lakefront and for the standards because of the cement pads and the money invested, the full hookup and the power, and the power. And so, the conversation, when she had reached out to me, and I can't remember the lady's name, her issue is just not being able to utilize any of those sites, period. I don't, in my opinion, I think, if we are preventing people from having that waterfront site if possible. So, I was thinking, well, if you pay whatever the campsite fee is, then if you want to put a tent there, if you want to put a camper right there, you can put it there. And if someone's going to pay that particular fee, for where typically you would put RVs or campers that generate more income, if they're going to pay the same price, then why would you not allow them to tent camp there? And I didn't think through that before. I had agreed with the original policy, but I think if somebody wants to pay the fee, but I think if you charge a $75 annual tent camping fee, some people may only come there and camp one time, then they got to pay the 75, then to pick and they may not never come back, for the annual year. So I don't know I know we reduced the fees anyways. I thought they were down to about 40 or 50 bucks a night.
Yeah, I'm good.
Not for the tent camping, but just camping in general.
It's 40, the daily rate, not taking into the tent camping. It's $40 with water and electrical, $35 full hookup for city residents. Non-city is $55 water and electrical and $50 full hookup. And then group tent sites are $25 for city and then $50 non-city, I believe, if I'm reading that correct on our website.
Thank you, Madam
So
Manager.
originally, we were talking about primitive camping as well. But a lot of these campsites, and a lot of these people that tent camp, we do that. We've had that conversation about the different youth organizations, but a lot of these tents and people that are tent camping, they still are running electricity. They got air conditioners, they got fans, they got all these things that hook up and they utilize the electricity as well.
Right.
So I think that, in my opinion, just understanding a little bit of camping and being involved in that with the youth activities and things that we do, we look for those electrical hookups and different things like that. And of course, I didn't really think about that.
Right.
I think you just rent the campsites for the price of the campsite. If they want to put a tent, they put a tent. But and then we could still have those primitive campsites like we had talked about, but are at a reduced rate. You know what I mean? Because you're not utilizing the electricity in those services. You know what I mean?
So you're proposing to go back to what it was, where you can tent camp anywhere, and you can tent camp or put your RV anywhere.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we have the designated area like we talked about, that is
Primitive.
but it's a cheaper rate too, you know what I mean? So if you want to camp on the luxury sites, for lack of a better term, you pay that price, and then if you just want to camp in the primitive area, then you pay whatever that reduced fee is.
Yeah, I think those.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I think those prices that you all changed took into account where they were located, and so that's why, the lakefront and Lakeview lots are a little more, but it's just you all at that time said no one can tent camp there, and I think the thinking was at that time was we had gotten some complaints about what some of these tent camping sites were looking like.
We had people coming and camping and actually living it. We didn't have any policies or regulations. So there were certain individuals that were tent camping, but had basically made it a permanent residence throughout the year. But I think we corrected some of that as well with
changing the time of the seasons and all that. Yeah, we did.
Things like that as well.
Yes, we did.
So I just think that's something to consider, because a lot of them are going to use electricity and different things. So you can pay that. If you give them that tent camping price and let them camp right there, then you are losing money, and they still use the electricity as well that you're paying for.
I think our objective should be as friendly as possible and to allow our campsites for as many people as possible that wants to use them, as long as they follow our rules and our fees.
Hey, what I would add too, because I know y'all have received complaints, and I know I have, on the tent camping. And I don't know if y'all have put it in the rules of when people book a spot, reserve a spot, or whatever, to put it in there, and it goes all across the board, if whatever your camper, motorhome, tent, to maintain that site. And if you get in a situation, or say the employees out there see somebody going in, looks like they daggum setting up shop, going to be homeless, whatever, and there's trash everywhere, then we deal with that, and we have a right to get them out of there. And that's the only thing, because I know that's what I received some calls, and that was some of the complaints about the tent camping. It was just terrible looking, and nothing, we didn't address it. So I think if we're doing all this changing and all the upgrades we've done, and we're going to open it up to where they can use these sites, I think we need to have something in there that if you have a site, whether you're in a camper, motorhome, or tent, you've got to maintain that site, and not have a bunch of junk out there and stuff like that. We can't have that. We spent too much money, too much work out there on this campground so far. So I think we need to, I think we could handle that and probably knock some of this stuff out.
Yeah, we do, in our current policy, we do have, that's the next to the last bullet point, they're not numbered. It says, please maintain, in capital letters, this is our policy that we hand out to people, please maintain a neat/clean campsite. Don't leave food or trash out. No clothesline, and don't leave items lying around that can be stolen. Lake Reidsville not responsible for any damage or stolen properties, so secure all belongings.
So what do we have in place if your employees just working out there, somebody's violating that, you give it to them, what do we do?
Well, we
How do
go
we
out
address it?
and kind of reiterate this to them and see if they will comply. If it gets to the point where we have to call the lake warden, then we do.
You've asked them to leave before. You've had them leave off the sites before.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So that's still in place. Okay.
So you don't penalize them with the fee if they don't?
No, we don't have that in place now. Again, this was just a response to complaints that we had gotten in. But it sounds like from at least three of you that you want to go back to where it was, which is option 3, and just allow it anywhere. And that's, this is all about seeing what the community wants, seeing it's okay to make changes. None of this is, etched in stone. So if
That's
you want to make
that
changes.
you don't reduce the campsite rate.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You just allow it on lakefront and Lakeview when you didn't before, but that's fine.
And then and I know we had these conversations about that primitive section. Were we gonna clean that up, and then we clean that up to make that available? We talked about it had the fire.
Yeah, we're still
pits
working on that, yeah.
good stuff, and then people will have an option to rent those areas.
Sure.
Say, I'm just throwing a rough figure, that's 45, that's 25 over there.
It is 25, I think.
Okay, for something to that effect.
Right.
Because if the money's the same to us, I guess regardless. And that was one of the concerns, I think, that also struck up the talk about Lake Hunt and having tent camping to attract youth organizations and different things. And whoever it was called me, the lady, that was one of the things that she brought up too, was like, well, what if we want to take, these organizations there, those kids and youth organizations, they want to be on the front right there because they want to go fish, that type of stuff, as well, if they took those spots.
So I can say if the direction you all are going in is to go back to what it was before you decided that they couldn't tent camp in those two sites, and in those two areas, Lakefront and Lakeview, then staff will pay a little closer attention and kind of monitor that and see if that takes care of it, if that's what you all desire.
So the fee will be determined by the location and the spot, not by what they're bringing to do there. Now, whether it's a tent or a campground.
Yeah, it'll stay whatever the fees are now. She just read off some, whatever it is now. That's what you'll pay for that. It's just, you'll be allowed, if you all go back to what it was, you'll be allowed to tent camp, Lakefront, Lakeview, or anywhere.
It's a cheaper rate for tent.
Yeah.
Just one correction, it's not a cheaper rate for tent camping.
It's a site rate, whatever the site is.
Yeah, it's for the site. It's
Yeah.
for the site. So, yeah, it's for the site. Now, those Lakefront and Lakeview sites are more expensive because of the location.
Yeah.
So, but if you all decide that that's what you want to do, you can do what you want there, whether it be tent camp or regular. You just pay the fee for what it costs for that site.
Sounds like they're in agreement. She's back there shaking her head.
Okay.
Any other questions? Sounds like we're ready for a motion, and that motion should include the language that you gave.
I'll make a motion to adopt option 3 to allow the tent camping on the campground sites without requiring a membership fee and follow through with the standard price of what's already assigned to those. And if we have tent camping in the primitive areas, it'll follow through at a reduced rate.
Yes.
Then got problems, and then we revisit it again.
Yep.
We have a second.
Second.
Got a tie. Okay. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Next item, update on possible options for J.C. Ballpark Field rental policy. Enclosure 5, Mr. Cloud. Moved up there mighty quick.
Mr. Mayor, item 8D, we wanted to provide an update. The meeting in May where all the people.
Yes, that was where we did have, Mayor and Council, we had some public feedback at our May meeting. So we did reach out to those members that were present at that meeting, at the City Council's meeting in May. We did do a doodle poll to see what day and time during the week would work best for most individuals to be able to attend a public input meeting. And it looked as though the best date was going to be June 16th of 2026. So that's what's led us to give you an update on the feedback we received for those individuals who attended. And I do want to express a great deal of gratitude for those who took time out of their evening to attend that meeting and give feedback as well.
Yes, you do have the PowerPoint that that Summer presented at that meeting. So again, as she said, we held a public meeting to gather information, to gather input on the future use of J.C. Park Field 3, formerly the Reidsville Lucky's Field. And as you can see in the memo, we reviewed the history of the field dating back to 2021 and the $208,000 investment that we made. And then we are presenting you tonight with 3 options for the field's future use. And so after discussion with the general public, they recommended a hybrid model that takes on some of options 2 and 3. And so that will maximize the field's usability for all age groups, replace the permanent pitching mound with a portable mound, modify the grass infield to create regulation base paths for multiple age divisions, and make the field available for both tournaments and team practices while maintaining its ability to host high-quality events. And so that's the first part that we discussed. The second part of the meeting that we talked about, we solicited feedback on what they thought about our reservation policy and how it works. And so a lot of the feedback we got from that said they wanted it to be more streamlined. It was difficult to, currently you have to call in, and they kind of race to call in and reserve space to have practices. And so what staff has done since that meeting on June 6th is we've reached out to several vendors to be able to have get a software that will make it more user-friendly. Yeah, and so matter of fact, we have a Zoom call tomorrow with one company where a lot of the things that people asked for, or the general public was asking for, they're gonna show us a model. They do a lot of those things, but we're gonna try to have several meetings with other software companies. But tomorrow we're having one, and we're gonna see if that fits much of what they were asking for. But the first item for you all to vote on would be option 1, 2, or 3 for the use of Field 3.
It'd be for 4.
Yeah. Option 4.
I had several of the people reach out to me after that meeting on the ball team, and they said the meeting went very well, and they discussed the hybrid model and was very pleased, with that, option,
As much money as we invested before, and we felt so good about the Luckies, and it didn't work out. I think now is the time that we consider our people right here and our kids right here in Reidsville, all ages and all age groups, and that we work with this field for them.
So I got one more question about that. I know before those guys were talking about you reach out to that same company that was leasing the Eden field to try to get those tournaments and stuff. So what are we doing that as well? Like trying to see about marketing that, or is this just this for the people to rent and lease?
We still allow tournaments. I mean, I did reach out to the city manager of Eden, and he was not aware of that contract, because I was going to try and reach out to their direct contract, but he wasn't aware that they had one for that amount. But we do currently allow tournaments to rent.
As a matter of fact, I guess the word got out that you are considering changing the field use. We just got an email from somebody that's doing softball tournaments. And it's going to be one on the 23rd or 24th, that weekend, whenever. And they're talking like it's going to be 25 teams. And he's like, if you all can remove that mound by then and we can use that field, that would be great. And we just told them that you all will be hearing this item this week. I think it was last Friday when he sent it. It may have been over the weekend, but we told him that the item will be heard by you all this week, and we'll have an answer to him. Whatever you all decide, we will.
I was just curious. I know that was one of the things, not necessarily one of the things that several people had mentioned was about having where those guys sign up for those tournaments. I knew we allowed tournaments, and they were talking about, well, this is how you get it through this one company, that kind of stuff. So I was just curious if we handled this and they were taking care of that, and people would reach out, they orchestrate their own tournaments. I was just wondering.
Yeah, they usually, I mean, since I've been here since 2018, we've had pretty good relationships with tournament directors that I remember one year, I think it was 2019, where they had booked the field up from like the fall all the way through the spring or whatever. And so we had something going on every weekend. But again, in terms of this, we got somebody that's ready to do a softball tournament on, I want to say it's the 23rd, 24th, whatever that number is on that weekend. Yeah, at the end of the month.
How long will it take to fix this stuff, the 69?
Well, we'd have to ask our field maintenance staff, but given that we know that's coming up, I'll work with our public works director and our maintenance staff to see if we can get it done. But I did want to make the point that I think some of the thinking was how beautiful the field looked and how they want the smaller kids to have that experience of playing on what they say the older people's field. And I just want to keep in mind that if you all choose any option that you choose that keeps the infield grass, that it may not stay as pristine, because if you open it up for practice as well as tournaments, then you're going to have continued use on it, and so it won't look as good. But that may be something. We'll see how it goes. They'll do the best they can, and we'll see how it goes, and we may have to revisit it at a later date. If it turns out that it's not looking as good as we thought.
If we generate more money, we could put a little more money in fertilizer and watering and certain things like that to keep it looking nice.
Sure.
Any other questions? Looks like we're ready for a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion if it's prepared. I don't see it on here anywhere, but anyway, I'd make a motion for to approve the hybrid approach. If I'm right, that's what they kind of agreed on that meeting we was at. Okay. Is the hybrid approach for field, including field number 3. And do you think, because I got a phone call about the tournament and all, do you think it is a possibility to if we just have to do the mound? That was the concern, was just the mound. They didn't say anything about the grass, cutting the running lanes or anything. They was concerned about that mound.
If I had to guess, I think staff should be able to do it. Yeah. I don't know how difficult it is and what it takes but I would like to think we could possibly do it. I don't want to speak for them, but I think we can.
We'll make the
Like you
best
said.
attempt.
We'll make the best attempt to.
Mayor, that's my motion for the hybrid approach.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, Mr. Cloud. Next item is city manager's report. Month of July, enclosure 6.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I do want to recognize our clerks here tonight. Ms. Latasha Waite, our Deputy City Clerk. We believe in cross-training, so thank you, and Ms. Angela, our City Clerk, for sitting in tonight. So just wanted to acknowledge we're having Ms. Latasha with us tonight. Council, you did probably receive an email earlier today just to make you aware of some paving activity that'll be going on at least for the next 2 days around the splash pad area. The splash pad itself will have to be closed for 2 days. This paving is through NCDOT, and we were made aware of that today. So you do have an email about that, but I did just want to make knowledge of that. And it does appear that there'll be an alternative traffic pattern NCDOT will be recommending temporarily. Should be getting something on that tomorrow from NCDOT, and we'll release that to council and the public. Also just wanted to thank all those involved for the Lake Hunt Master Plan meeting this past Saturday.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
The splash pad won't be closed, just the entrance.
Just entrance.
And we're gonna have an alternative entrance. We'll tell them to park at JC and walk down through the greenway to the splash pad.
Thank you for that.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that. Just want to thank Drew, Quentin, Montana, and Haywood, and all that they did to get the public input meeting together this past Saturday. I thought it was a great turnout and got some really good ideas of what to do with Lake Hunt. So just thank each of you and your departments for pulling that off. Also, it's this time of year, you have your surplus property. Please see attached surplus property for fiscal year 25-26 behind the miscellaneous tab. And then just a couple items of note, South End School, the city of Reidsville is working with Rockingham County Schools to get a mobile unit from South End Elementary School. The mobile unit would be placed at the police department range. So more to come on that, but we are just starting those preliminary discussions with the school to see if securing one of those mobile units is a possibility. Also, the city was been notified that we've been selected for a $500,000 brownfields grant by the EPA. There are several pre-award documents that we've got to complete this week and get returned. There's no city council action required at this time. We'll continue to work on that grant, but we will bring the acceptance award to city council at a later date. And Mayor and Council, that concludes my report for this month.
Thank you, Manager Moore. Next, we have city council members and chamber report. Diane, I believe I'll let you go first today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes of your time. We do have quite a few things coming up. First, before I talk about some of the events and stuff, I'm really excited to let you know that the Chamber has applied for a grant with the NC Family Forward, which you all are a NC Family Forward certified employer, which we are so thankful. The Chamber actually, we wanted to do that, but the way they have the certifications right now, you have to be a larger employer than we are. They did a case study on us many years ago, and we've been a huge proponent of that work. And so we've applied for a grant. They have a statewide initiative right now that is being modeled after Greensboro. And the Chamber is the lead partner, but we are partnering with the Reidsville Area Foundation and with the Rockingham County Partnership for Children, and with Ms. Leanne Basinger and the City of Reidsville as an additional partner. So we are hoping, I'm very excited to hear that we have a meeting. They have asked us to meet with them about more information so that They want to pilot Reidsville specifically, but it's going to encompass probably a larger regional area where we can hopefully get many more of our businesses educated and maybe certified and trained on some of those HR policies and things that they can do. So cross your fingers, we're very excited about that. I hope I can come back to you soon and tell you that we have been awarded that grant, but we're very excited about the initiative. It is a continuation of work we're doing, so even if we don't receive the grant, I think we'll continue to work with the foundation and the city and others, but very excited about that. We do have our ice cream social on Thursday at Lower JC and the Splash Pad. We have a phenomenal RSVP and turnout. We have about 400 people who have RSVP'd to come to this event. So we are very excited. We're a little nervous about the announcement, but again, communication is key. I say it in my office all the time, and I'm super, super impressed. As soon as your folks found out, they immediately got on the phone with me and let me know. So that's how we got to continue to work together. And we're hoping that everything's going to work out, but we're excited about it. Powell Barefoot's our premier sponsor and First Presbyterian Church. And this is, to me, one of the most fun events that we do because, you know, we're all about business and the business day, but this is the only event that we do all year that we invite all of our members, all of their employees, and all of their families, and it is free, and it is sponsored by these folks. So thank you to everybody who's helping with that. We also have another really interesting event coming up. It's our Connections After Hours. It's a speed networking event. Are y'all familiar with speed dating? You ever heard about that? So you kind of go down the line and quickly have 2 or 3 minutes. So speed networking, right, but for businesses. But it's being sponsored by Brightview, which is really an underutilized service in our community. Again, we are doing it from a business and employer perspective. They are wanting more people to know about them. So I really encourage you to learn more about them because as a day treatment facility and an outpatient facility, for folks who have problems and substance abuse issues, they can continue to work while also being served by them. And so we are doing this event sponsored by them, but it's also meant to be a fun networking event. So that's happening on the 30th. It's very limited spots. Half of them are already gone. So if you know folks that might want to come out and just have a little fun speed network and let them know. Golf for Reidsville is crazy already. I think Katie told me we're already at like 100 today. And the deadline for Chamber Champs is tomorrow, and then the final deadline's 2 weeks. This event was almost sold out for 2 shotguns last year, and I have a feeling we're probably going to be. And when I say sold out, I mean past 18 teams on 18 holes. We're looking at more like 20, 21, 22 teams on 18 holes at a time. So, but we do have our raffle going on. So if you know anybody that wants to buy raffle tickets, we're excited to have another 3-day, 2-night to the mountains or the beach. And then we have a couple ribbon cuttings coming up. They're very exciting. One is for Reaper Sports, and Grady is just continuing to do really great things. And what an awesome retail option to have in downtown to bring men and families, especially, and more of an interest, and obviously females. Y'all know I have a female athlete, but just to have the ability to have another added retail, we're excited for that. So that's on July 31st at 12 p.m. At 131 South Scales. And then Germanics Event Catering, I know they've had their big weekend opening. They are working on some kinks right now, from what I understand, but they are planning to have all of that worked out and finished, we hope, by the end of August. So August 27th, we have tentatively scheduled a ribbon cutting with the chamber so that it's official on at 12 p.m. And that is located at the mall. We do have several new members. You can see those. We're really excited to be partnering with some of them. And then the August Coffee and Connections is at the Museum and Archives of Rockingham County. And if you have not seen, they have this really cool thing that a couple of our old photographers, including Tim Talley, they have all these photos and they are trying to identify people. They're giving them away. So please pay attention to that Facebook page. They're posting like older photos, baby photos, people that you probably know that got married, and they're just trying to find their owners to give them away. So check out the Marks page. I'm hoping that we'll get to see some of that at that coffee in August. That's all I have right now, unless y'all have questions for me.
Thank you, Ms. Diane.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Take care of that back. Mayor Pro Tem.
I never put this back.
Okay. Councilwoman Dejanay.
Oh, let me see. I have one report, and that is I attended the ribbon cutting at the Ink and Ivy bookstore. And I want to use this opportunity to thank Diane for the progress that she's made with the Reidsville Chamber. It has increased tremendously over the last couple of years with her leadership.
Councilman Coates.
Mayor, as mentioned earlier by the city manager, I also attended and met with city manager and staff at South End School reference to possibility of acquiring one or two of those mobile units. I think y'all are working that out. Also attended the meeting here at City Hall reference to the J.C. Field, which we voted on tonight. And thanks to everybody that attended, good interaction from everybody and staff, and a lot of excitement coming to where we just voted tonight. And I also attended this past Saturday the Lake Hunt presentation of the possible updates. I think it was it McGill's? Is that who was out there that had the board put up? So that was a busy little tent, a lot of interaction by the folks that was out there, and I also had conversations with a few of the residents living along there. So it was good interaction there as well. Good turnout. And that's my report.
Councilwoman Scoble.
Forego my report tonight, sir.
Councilman Hairston.
No report at this time.
Councilman Martin.
Same here.
I was going to forego mine too until I was made Grand Marshal of the 250th birthday of the nation, and I was riding in one of the coolest cars I've been in all my life, a Corvette. Enjoyed myself there. Thanks, Montana, for thinking about the old boy. We're going to move to the first floor conference room for a closed session to discuss personnel pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A6. And we will not be returning to council chambers tonight. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Make a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor raise your right hand.